Let me ask you something. Have you ever noticed that sometimes your computer feels really fast and sometimes painfully slow? And the strange part is, you're using the same applications. So what's the problem? Most people think it's the processor, but very often, it's not the CPU. It's the memory, RAM. Today we're going inside your computer to understand how RAM really works and why it plays such a critical role in performance. RAM stands for Random Access Memory, and this is one of the most important components inside any computer, laptop, or smartphone. Technically speaking, yes, your system could work without RAM, but let me be honest with you, it would be unbearably slow. So let's break this down step by step in a very simple way. Think of RAM as your computer's working memory. Whenever you open an app, a file, or even a browser tab, that data is loaded into RAM. Why? Because the CPU needs quick access to information. Now compare this with storage devices like SSDs or hard drives. Storage is great for keeping data safe, but it's not designed for instant access. RAM, on the other hand, is built for speed, not long-term storage, just fast, temporary access. Here's something important to understand. The CPU needs data immediately. If it had to wait for storage every single time, your computer would freeze again and again. That's why RAM sits very close to the CPU. Let me give you a simple example. Think of RAM as your work desk and storage as a filing cabinet. You keep the files you're actively using on your desk, not locked away inside drawers. That's exactly how RAM works. Now here's a key concept. RAM is called volatile memory. What does that mean? It means the moment power is turned off, everything inside RAM is erased. That's why unsaved work is lost when your system shuts down unexpectedly. And no, this is not a flaw. It's actually a design choice. Because speed always comes with trade-offs. The CPU and RAM are constantly communicating. The CPU reads data from RAM and writes data back to it. When you switch between applications, RAM makes this process smooth. But what happens when RAM is not enough? The system starts using storage as backup memory, and storage is much slower. This is when you notice lag, stuttering, and slow response times. So, does more RAM help? Yes, but only to a certain point. More RAM allows your system to handle more tasks at the same time. That's why most modern systems recommend at least 8 GB of RAM for smooth performance. But here's the key idea. More RAM does not automatically make your computer faster. It increases capacity, not speed. Speed depends on the CPU memory speed and overall system design. Let's clear up a common myth. Adding RAM always makes a computer faster. Not exactly. RAM only helps when your system is running out of memory. Once you have enough RAM, other components become the bottleneck. This is why balance matters more than just numbers. So now you understand what RAM actually does and why it is essential for multitasking. In the next video, we'll explore storage, SSDs versus hard drives. If you want to keep learning how technology really works, subscribe to Tech Anatomy and let's continue this journey together.